We don't want there to be any barriers for kids. That's why we invest in that, because we want to make sure no matter what your socioeconomic status is, no matter where you live in this community, you're going to have an opportunity to do ROC or CTEC.
You just heard Brian Miller. Working as an educator since 2001, Brian Miller is a local product of Bakersfield who grew up and attended school in the city from elementary school through post-secondary education. He's worked as an administrator at the Regional Occupational Center, ROC, and now also the Career Technical Education Center, CTEC, in a variety of capacities in the past 11 years. Most recently as principal. He has a passion for providing opportunities for students at ROC CTEC that will help prepare them for the future career and college success. He's worked to develop relationships in the community with both industry partners and post-secondary partners to strengthen the opportunity provided to students at ROC CTEC. Brian is proud of living in Bakersfield and believes there's a tremendous amount of opportunity in the community and wants to contribute the success of the region through workforce development. In today's show, we discuss the ROP CTEC programs at Kern High School District. Later in the show, we talk about how kids in the ROP program excel in the workplace or college. And be sure to stay tuned to hear the rapid fire answers from our guest.
Welcome back to the Our 2 Cents podcast, the show where your local professionals sit down with an array of guests to hear their story and impart some wisdom for both business and life-improving skills. This is your place to hear business and community leaders discuss relevant topics that matter to you.
And welcome to the show. My name's Troy Burden. I'll be your host today. Before we get into today's episode, I encourage all of our listeners to check out our newsletter. That's the best way that you can check us out in past episodes. Get that every month. I actually subscribe to it, and I'm kind of shocked because every once in a while I'll miss something and go back and catch up. So it's a great way to stay connected with our 2 cents. Brian, we're happy to have you joining us today. Thanks for being here. But before we get into all about you, what you do, the service that you provide, I was doing a little research and just to basically to clear the slate, what is ROC?
Sure. Well, first of all, Troy, thanks for having me here. And ROC, Regional Occupational Center, and maybe I should say Regional Occupational Programs, ROP. We have 2 centers, the ROC Center, which is over on South Mount Vernon Avenue, and we share a campus with the Bakersfield Adult School. And then our other center, Career Technical Education Center, or CTEC, is located in Southwest Bakersfield, just to the north of Independence High School. And so both of these centers are places where students can go, juniors and seniors in high school primarily, to start their way down a career path. And so we've got over 40 different programs that they can attend. We serve every high school in the Kern High School District, which is about 23 different schools. And students come there and they dive into their career path of choice. We start them from the beginning and we take them as far as we can get them, with the end goal being kind of 2 things. One, prepared for entry-level employment, but also prepared for post-secondary education.
So Brian, when I went to school, I'll date myself, back in the 80s, I went to Taft and there was a program called ROP. It's the same thing. ROP. This is an ROP, which means program. You're basically referring to a center that you have a location that you guys educate students. Juniors and seniors only.
And adults, we have some paying adults as well. That's only about 1% of our population. We fill all the spots with high school students first. Most of our adults come to our evening programs, which we started a few years ago. So primarily, juniors and seniors, about 70% seniors, 30% juniors.
And you're part of the Kern High School District?
Correct. We are part of the district. We're funded through the district. So that's why all the students in our district have an opportunity to go there.
So we have 2 programs, ROC and then CTEC. And from what I just looking at things, tech probably means technology possibly. Am I close?
Yeah, you are. We've grown tremendously in the past 6 years, especially opening CTEC, and been gearing up for that. And so we've got pretty much something for everyone. We've got every industry sector covered there. We've got business programs. We've got your typical industrial type programs like welding and diesel mechanics, that kind of stuff. We've got a lot of technology programs, design programs, healthcare programs. So pretty much something for everyone who's interested.
So what's the difference between an ROC CTEC program compared to just traditional going to school, sitting in a classroom? I know there's electives, I guess you might call it. I'm not not talking English and, Spanish and math and so on. But I remember I had electives when I went to school. We had auto shop, which I was in, wood shop, which I was in. I learned how to weld. We had a machine shop. And then I was also part of the ROP program where we went off campus and did some construction in a not-profit home where we built an addition. And there was hands-on. It was a little different than a lab or a classroom. We were literally doing things, building things. Is that really the difference between the two? Because my elective classes were somewhat what it sounds like what you're doing, but it wasn't an ROP back then.
Correct. And so I would say the ROP model is kind of that next level from that, what you're calling the elective class.
Yeah.
First of all, our students were with us for 3 hours a day. So it's a 3-hour block. So you can get quite a bit more time than typically at a comprehensive high school. You're looking at about a 55-minute class.
Correct.
So you get 3 hours with them a day. All of our instructors come from industry. And so they've worked, they're experts in their field. And so now they're coming back. We teach them how to be teachers when we get them in there. But they're bringing all that knowledge in there. And then all of them have some kind of an industry certification in that program. That's, we work with our industry partners quite a bit as well to kind of figure out what makes the most sense. And then all of them have kind of what you were referring to, that work-based learning where they might do an internship. They might have an opportunity to work with an employer on projects, things like that. We try to incorporate into every program as well.
So I know you mentioned like 40, and I did a little research on your webpage. It's very nice. Went through your flyer. First thing, administrative assistant is in there, but medical and fire department or fire, being a firefighter. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Diesel mechanic, and not to get off the charts, but it's interesting because I do business with a charter school. Lack of a better word, it is still a charter school, but it's a private school, and it's ag related. And you probably can figure out who that is. They're great people. And I'm talking to the administration as I work with them through insurance. And, we talk about everything, not just what I do, but how the school's working and how it's growing. And the students' parents do not want their kids to go down the ag world because they want them to do somewhat better than, I think all of us do. We want our kids to do better than what we did. My dad was a welder for 28 years. And I thought, hey, my dad wanted me to be a welder. First thing my dad told me says, I do not want you to be a welder. He made a great living. He provided wonderfully, but it's a very difficult job and it's nothing wrong with it. And we need them. So I say that because just because you're an ag doesn't mean you're working in the fields. There's a lot of different levels of positions. And it sounds like these ROP programs are giving the tools to people. It's just like diesel mechanic is a very good trade. It might be working for a farmer, but it's a diesel mechanic job. So it kind of has a stigma to it that, you don't want to do that because. And so I feel like you're educating people in sectors to give them a higher education. And it's not an entry-level job. Am I even close to?
Yeah, you really are. One of the things we've really been focused on the last 6 or 7 years is changing that narrative. And it's not a school or schools that are for those kids. Okay, this is an opportunity for every kid because I think at the end of the day, the goal for most people in education is to get educated enough to get employed. And that's kind of the end game, is that career path and going to work and making a living. So we're just getting them started on that path. And there's, like you described, there's careers in agriculture. There's wonderful careers in agriculture. That's one of the biggest parts of our economy, local economy. I mean, that's huge. I know lots of people in ag, they do very well. What it is, whether it's a welder, whether it's a 3D animator, whether it's a banker, we're kind of exposing students to what are all the different careers within that industry. And how do you, if you want to get to this level, here's the gaps that you need to fill in between with skill set and with education. So it's really, that's what we go through with them throughout the course of a year, as well as giving them the skills and connecting them to people. We do a lot of networking, getting people in like yourself to talk to students about what they do and how they got there in their career to really help connect some of those dots for kids and see if it's something that they want to take the next step on. And we tell them what that next step is depending on which direction they want to go.
I'm assuming, some move on to college, and this is great that they went through some ROP or ORC programs or CTEC, but some go right into the workforce. And this is kind of like, do you have any experience? This is considered experience. Am I right?
Absolutely. One of the things that we do with all of our students is we, throughout the course of the year, help them build a professional resume. And so that when they leave us, they know how to do that. And then they've also kind of put their skills that they've learned on there. They might have done an internship. They put that on there. And so that they really have much further ahead than the average high school student who really hasn't been exposed to that type of stuff.
So I know you partner with a lot of employers in the area, and I know there's a lot of support. I mean, again, I went back to your webpage, which is awesome. It shows it's really a community involvement. Do you go to employers and say, hey, where are you hurting? Where are you suffering? What do you need in a person, an applicant? And then they give you information and you try to apply that and maybe perhaps create a course that is in need?
Yeah, Troy, that's pretty spot on. So every program has a group of industry partners, and it's, it could be the formal advisory board, but it might also just be the partners that work with that program. And those are the things that we ask them. We want to make sure that our curriculum is relevant to what's needed in industry. And so we're always adapting to what those needs are and bringing in new stuff, taking out old stuff that's no longer needed based on that relationship with the employers. That's one of the most important things that we have are those employer relationships, because that's really the lifeblood of what we do.
Well, we live in the same community and we always hear of things, and I've heard for I don't know how long, there's a shortage of teachers. We need medical workers. Yeah. We need paramedics. Yeah. And working and hanging out with people in the community, you see it firsthand and go, yeah, I can't tell you, and this is because of our current environment, everyone, in my opinion, is hiring.
But, everyone is.
Yeah, but not everyone qualifies, and that's a problem. So there's a lack of education or training or quality candidates in some cases. And so, this is good that I'm learning this, because I can share your story and say, we might want to talk to Brian on this, because he might be able to put a program together and help out. So
absolutely. And we might already have one that relates enough to what their business is, and that's, getting them connected to that. We're doing that all the time. That's probably the biggest part of my job is making those connections.
I actually have a couple employers that have created their own somewhat academies or training courses in order to have quality candidates to go to work, because there's such a shortage. So you said 3 hours. Now, when I went to high school, I didn't have 3 hours. Now, I did pretty good in high school, and I kind of got out around noon because I had all the credits I needed and things like that. So how does someone fit in 3 hours, and then they're going to have to commute from their typical high school over to your facilities, right?
Yes. So, it is a 3 hour block of classes. So it's either, their first through third period or their fifth through seventh period on their schedule. So they do have, all of our students have to be caught up on their graduation requirements. It works out. Seniors don't really usually have a problem fitting it into their schedule. Right. Our juniors, their schedule is a bit more impacted, so they really have to do some planning starting as early as the freshman year to make sure, if they know that's something they want to get in starting their junior year. So, but we do have ways that they can do that. And then, you're right. All of them have to commute. We do bus students from every single school site. About 70% of our kids ride the bus. We have a huge busing operation.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah. It's pretty wild. In the second semester, we even do internships, and we'll bus them to those internships if needed. And on those days, we're running close to 100 buses a day throughout the community, whether it's picking them up from their school, bringing them to the center, taking them home, taking them out to their job sites. So it's a pretty big part of our budget, but we don't want there to be any barriers for kids. That's why we invest in that, because we want to make sure no matter what your socioeconomic status is, no matter where you live in this community, you're going to have an opportunity to do ROC or CTEC.
Can anybody get into these courses, or do you have to, have a C average or above or anything like that? It seems like I remember something like that.
Well, yeah. So you do need to be caught up on your high school graduation requirement. We used to have, years ago, we did have a 2.0 GPA requirement, but we took that barrier away because what we found was there was a lot of kids that maybe they didn't do so well in their high school career early on, and they didn't really connect in those classes they were in, but then they would get out to us.
Yep.
And they're in a class where there's something they're interested. The teacher has a background in that field. All the kids in there are interested in that, and it's a very hands-on environment, and they just take off like rockets. And so we took that away. So that's no longer in place, but we do ask the counselors to make sure that their attendance is good and their discipline record's pretty clean, at least for the last year. We don't go all the way back to their freshman year, but we do want students that are committed to what they're doing, because about 60% of the programs are impacted, meaning they carry a waiting list. And so we don't want a student to take a spot that's really not planning on staying there for the whole year, because then they took that opportunity away from someone else.
So you just said it, the courses are pretty much full.
Yes, they are. They are full. It's been pretty amazing. We kind of started our board and our superintendency about 6 years ago, really wanted to commit to career technical education and decided to expand the ROC model because it's one that had worked and it's one that is available to every student. It's not just at where it matter where you live. It's all the kids from all the schools. And so at that time, we could serve about 800 students a year at the ROC. That's about how much capacity we had, about 16 programs. And that's what we were doing. And so, but now this year, when we started this school year between the ROC and the CTEC and our daytime programs and our evening programs, we had over 2,400 students enrolled. And so we've tripled our growth, which is really amazing. And the seats are full. It's been exciting to see that shift and see how much interest there is in this type of education, which really is for all students.
Do you think this program excels due to our environment or our location in Central California because we have a very mixed bag of industries? I mean, do you feel like you'd be doing the same thing if you're in the middle of San Francisco or Los Angeles?
That's a good question. I'm not sure. I can't really speak to living in LA or San Francisco because I haven't lived there. But I do know this. I think that I've noticed that people are starting to take a different look at education and just the model. And, I think especially, 10 years ago, there was a mindset, 4-year college for all. It doesn't matter what you're going for. You just need to go get that 4-year degree. That pendulum has really shifted. And I think we're starting to be a lot smarter about how we look at education. And it's more about starting to figure out what types of careers you might want to get into. Not saying you need to pick your career when you're 16, 17 years old, because that's pretty tough to do. But at least start to see what you have an aptitude for, what your interests are, what the different paths are, so that when you do go on to post-secondary education, you're making a more educated decision and you're investing in, I just need to go get a 2-year degree, or I need to get a 4-year degree for this career or an advanced degree, or I just need to go to a trade school, or I just need to get employed and take advantage of all those training opportunities that my employer gives us. And that's what we talk to kids about all year long at ROC and CTEC. And I think we do a really good job with that. And I think the words start to spread. I mean, we get a lot of great feedback from parents. Word of mouth is our number one marketing tool. And I think the work that we're doing, it shows that people are starting to understand the value in that. So, could that be the same situation in LA or San Francisco? Well, I'd like to think so.
The reason why I asked that is I don't know how long the program's been around, and I know it's probably changed over time. But a lot of times, instead of reinventing the wheel, you go to training and seminars and classes and things throughout the community or state or even nationwide. You may go, wow, this is a great program they're doing in Nevada, Las Vegas. Okay, well, that would work great in Bakersfield, but they're really catering to an industry we don't have or whatever. So it gives you ideas, but obviously you customize it based upon our climate, if you will.
Absolutely. And so there's really kind of two main ingredients or factors that we look at when we're going to look at opening a program. And one is that a relevant industry for our community? And not just, we're right next to LA too. And so we've got a wonderful video production program, a 3D animation program, got some connections to Hollywood because that's just over the hill. And a lot of that work's done remotely. So that's we look at, is that industry relevant? We also look at, are kids going to be interested in that class too? But I think a good example of taking a look at the local industry is a program that we started last year at the CTEC Center, and that's our logistics and distribution program. So, about 6 years ago, some industry partners came to us and they said, look, we got all this stuff coming. We've got the Tejon area there, the distribution center. We've got the Shafter distribution center. We got all the major employers are going to be here in 10 years. We're looking at 20,000 jobs. No one knows what distribution is and logistics is in our community. We got to start developing a workforce. So that's when we started doing our homework. We went and visited some programs around the country. They've got some big distribution centers in the Northeast United States. Looked at some of the training programs that they had there and brought those ideas back and started talking about what a program would look like with our industry partners. And now we have an amazing logistics and distribution program over there. We've got a 10,000 square foot training warehouse. We've got 7 different forklifts. They get 3 different forklift certifications. They learn all about the global supply chain. It's not just a forklift driving program, but they learn about the industry as a whole and also how to get into that industry. So those students, last year was our first year. Every single kid got a job right out of that graduated high school and finished the program. They're going to go in and start at entry-level employment, but they know how to move up that ladder very quickly. And they're going to be the supervisors, the managers, making 6 figures in their early 20s, as long as they have the initiative to do that. And it's getting them on that ramp. And, no one knows about, a lot of kids don't know about logistics. I mean, UPS, maybe they think about that,
right.
But they don't know about the careers in there. And you might start loading the trucks, but you get into the management level. That's a very good career. Major companies too. They're all here.
Oh yeah. Well, right now it's in the headlines every day because of the harbor issues we have with the big ships. I mean, so logistics is huge, and a shortage of truck drivers and so on and so on.
Yes.
So yeah, a lot of people think products come from the store, or milk comes from the grocery store. And there's a lot more behind the scenes there. I did an interview with a startup company that I do business with, Healthcare Finance, great company, but they started a tech company in Bakersfield, and recruiting was tough because people go, okay, we need to be in Silicon Valley, certain parts of Texas. Bakersfield's not known for tech, but there is some tech business here, and they've done very well. And of course, most of it's remote type working, but everyone kind of goes, you see something and you just assume, and it's not always the case. When I did business in LA, and this is not a good example, we talked about ag being a big part of Central Valley, probably the biggest industry we have besides oil. In Los Angeles, most people would go, we don't have ag in LA. That is false. Right. There's a lot of ag in LA. Maybe you don't see the fields that you see, but there's processing, and there's so much more to it than just growing the product. Right. Just like everything we're talking about, there's so much more to it. And I just can't imagine the demand that you actually have, because I think of all the things. I already mentioned several of them, but another one is the police force. We've had them on and talking about recruitment and just, again, quality candidates or someone with some passion to come in there. Yeah. You're doing a very, very unique service that is being asked of you. It's not just you're just trying and hope it sticks. People are coming to you going, we got a problem.
Absolutely. I love that you said the police force. So one of my favorite things I like to say is that's it's one of our most impacted programs. It's the only program we offer at both centers. So we have it at ROC. We offer it at CTEC as well. We also offer it in the evening. We've got 3 different retired law enforcement officers that teach the program for us. We have close to 150, 160 high school students enrolled in the law enforcement program, which I love because all these kids are interested in going into the different variety of careers in law enforcement. But, police officers are always getting a bad rap, but it's exciting to see these young people who all want to be police officers. Right. It kind of makes you wonder why they get a bad rap.
Well, and then another thing that I really like what you're sharing, which I also noticed on some of your information, you hire people with experience, maybe someone that's retired.
Critical.
There's so much value in someone that's been down that road. There's nothing worse than listening to a lecturer or a professor or a teacher to tell you how things work that has never experienced it.
Absolutely. It makes all the difference because they can bring all that history, all that work experience, all those stories all into the classroom and share those with the students throughout the year. And how valuable is that? They've lived it, they've done it, they've learned, and so they get to share all that. And the kids love it. They eat that stuff up.
And it allows you to give back to the working community, the workforce, because these aren't full-time jobs. And I mean, maybe some of them are, but there's a lot of them that.
Yeah. So all of our daytime teachers are full-time teachers now. Yep. And so they've either retired from their industry or they've just left their industry. Some of our evening program teachers, most of them are still working in the industry during the day, and then they come teach for us at night. And so one of the things that we did, again, going back about 6 years when we knew we were really going to expand and, open a new center and add all these programs, we knew, well, we're going to need a teaching workforce here. And so we put together a program to where kind of an induction program. When we identify someone who wants to transition and come teach with us and transition from industry, now we have a full-blown program that we put them through in the summer. We teach them how to be teachers. And then we continue that support for the first couple years that they're with us because teaching's tough.
Yes.
The good thing is they come in, they know the curriculum like the back of their hand. Sure. They've lived it, but teaching's a whole new art that they have to learn. They have to learn how, we always look for people that can relate to high school kids because that's not easy either. Yep. And so I think we've done a really good job the last 5 years, really bringing those people in and teaching them how to be teachers. And that's why we haven't lost anyone in that time period. And, we've grown from having about 16 teachers, I think now I have close to 40 teachers.
Wow. And
because we have put that support in there, but we've invested in them because we want to get veterans from the workforce and we want to keep them there and keep them with us. So that's been a really important part of what we do. We've also kind of adjusted our salary scale to where we now give them years of service on our scale for their industry experience, which we hadn't done that before. And that's been great too, because now someone comes in, instead of starting at the beginning, I think we give up to 12 years of experience, which is quite a big difference. Just like we'd give a teacher from another district teaching experience, we wouldn't make them start at the top. So it's nice that our district was able to recognize how important that industry experience is. And it's really allowed us to get some very quality people in, veterans of their industry.
Sounds very attractive, actually. So, growth. You got big visions, you got programs on the list. They're going, hey, I'd love to add this, I'd love to add that. And I know I'm not giving a lot of justice, but I remember seeing culinary, technology, most people think trade school, air conditioning, diesel mechanic, because we've seen the advertisements on TV probably. But this is huge. It's broad. We're talking 40 different programs that you have in place now. Cosmetology.
I mean, I could rattle off the list.
I know. And it kind of shocked me, because I'm thinking, what is this all about? And I'm going, okay, well, I was in, like I already told you, we built an addition on a facility, which was great experience. This is so much more. And did the kids get credit going through an ROC class just like they would any other class?
Yeah, just like their other classes. So they, it's 3 classes for them. So they get 15 units a semester, 30 for the year, just like if they were taking 3 classes at their comprehensive site. And then they also, the majority of our programs are aligned with either Bakersfield College or CSUB. So we've got a college course embedded into our curriculum, and so they'll earn college credit, have the opportunity for that as well, which is a nice way to kind of get them going on that path to post-secondary education also.
Tell me a little bit more about your community connection with the colleges.
Yeah, so our biggest partnership is with Bakersfield College, and then we also work with CSUB, and that's one that we're trying to expand on. But really, all of our students, as they go through the year, we're telling them you need to continue your education. Like I said, whether that's just going to work and continue to train, take advantage of the training your employer offers, or go to community college, or go get your 4-year degree, depending on what that goal is, that career goal is. And I'm happy to say pre-COVID, about 86% of our students transition on to post-secondary education, which is much higher than the national rate of 66%. So there's a high post-secondary going rate. I think the large part of that is because that's, we're kind of getting them on that path. And most careers do require some form of post-secondary education. They don't all require a 4-year degree, but most require some additional training after you get out of high school. So that's been really, really nice to see that. And Bakersfield College has been a great partner. They even at the CTEC Center, they offer some, call them early college classes in the evening over there in some of the pathways. So, even freshmen and sophomore are there at night taking maybe a robotics class that's part of the industrial automation program up at BC. So we share the lab, and sometimes like that one, or it's even our teacher teaching that at night. So it's a real good relationship. Work very well with them. They've been great in giving us some direction and us giving them some feedback too, so that our programs are aligned.
You mentioned internship as part of your program after the first semester, I believe is what you mentioned. Is that an intern program only during school season, if you will? It's not something that they would do during the summer. How's that work? And is there enough to fill seats, or are you looking for more of that?
Yeah, so that one of the best things we do is the internship program, and we call that community classroom. Pre-pandemic, that year we had over 200 businesses that we were partnered with. About 40% of our students attend an internship during that time. And so that's what we're getting back to. We are happy to say we are starting that up again this year. That will start February 1st. And the nice thing is we've had a tremendous support from our previous employers, and we've been able to add some more. But we need to continue to add, because if we want to get to that 40% number that we were at before, we've got about 2,000 students right now. So, that's 800 interns that we need to have out there. So the way that it works, those kids, it's not in every class, not every program has a community classroom component, just the ones where it makes sense to do that. Not every student gets to participate in that. They really have to meet that bar that the instructor has set for them during the first semester. So they learn the skills needed during the first semester, both the technical skills and the basic career readiness skills and professional skills that they're going to need to be successful. And then during the second semester, for about a 12 to 13 week period, 4 days of the week, typically Tuesday through Friday, instead of reporting to the center during their class time, they report to their internship site, and that's where they're matched with the supervisor, and they're carrying, working as an intern there. And it needs, we set up those opportunities so that they're practicing each day that's going to help them learn. We don't want them just pushing a broom around a shop for 3 hours, although they can push a broom because they should be
need to learn how to do that too.
But that's what we want them doing. So, and then during that time, our teachers go out once every 3 weeks, and they observe the student on the site, and they maintain, daily communication with the site supervisors. So it's quite an operation, and it's a great part of what we do. So many of these kids, when they're done, they get employed. It's a great opportunity if they're the employer. They get a free look at the student too, and so a lot of them will hire them.
So it could be a win-win.
Oh, absolutely. It is a win-win. It absolutely is. And our instructors do a great job of only placing students that are going to be successful. They're not going to put the kid that hasn't been coming to class or screwing around in class out there, because they're all built on relationships. So you have to have the trust of the employer, and we want to maintain that. We work real hard to build up those relationships, and we want to keep them.
Sure. Let's talk about your location. You and I were chatting a little bit before the show. So you're on Mount Vernon, south of 58. We're right behind the adult school, which is actually where the Kern High School bus barn is, probably, right?
We're just
the Farm Bureau is right there. So
yep, right across the street from us.
Yeah. So I finally put that on there. Yeah. Now, I've been watching this development in the Southwest for a couple of years. I have some family members that live south of town, and I go down that street by Independence High. And I've been watching this 2-3 story, this wonderful, beautiful medical looking facility, thinking, what in the world is that? Must be a district office. Now I've learned that is that the CTEC
that is
facility?
The CTEC, yes.
So share with me a little bit about CTEC and what it is. And obviously I just pointed out the location. I'm going to have to get over and check it out because it is just unbelievably awesome looking.
Yeah, it is a beautiful facility. We did a lot of homework as we were kind of getting ready to go into the design process. We went and visited other schools in California, other schools in other states, because to get ideas and wanted to we took back the best of the best ideas. And when we sat around that design table, not just with district people, but we involved industry partners in that process. And so you've got a lot of labs there that are designed to look and feel and function just like the place of industry. So we've got a medical lab that you walk in it looks just like a hospital.
Okay.
And if you look on our website, you can see some photos and some videos. But it is an amazing place. All windows throughout in there. We really wanted to create a place that when students walk in, they get inspired and they want to be at school. And then even people walking through the building, it's great to walk down the halls and just look through the windows and see the learning in action in there. It's a really neat place to be. Our students, this is our first full school year. We opened last year.
Okay.
Didn't have really any students until March, and then the end of the school year was what it was. But this has been our first real school year, and just been great. Students are very excited to come there. A lot of energy in the building. Our staff's been doing a great job. They enjoy being there. It's a pretty awesome facility. Been getting in businesses too. We've hosted like Kern Economic Development Foundation has hosted their board meeting a couple times. We want people to get into that building and do some things there so that they can see what we're doing and start. We don't want to be a secret. And so that's really great to see that start to happen as well.
It's almost like what you were talking about, pulling the C average to get into the program, because some people are hands-on learners. Mm-hmm. A lot of people
Absolutely.
are. And when you want to share a vision with the community to get them in the seat to see the facility, it's just worth a million words, in my opinion.
Yep.
They can really get the passion going, this is for real. This is not just a story that Brian's trying to sell me. Yep. This is a real deal. And like I said, I didn't even know what it was, but I knew it was high tech and awesome. So how was it building during a pandemic?
Wild. It really, I mean, I'm sure everyone's got their pandemic stories.
We don't have one podcast that the pandemic doesn't come up.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, we were fortunate that we got through most of the construction before there were materials shortages.
Yes.
We did run into some labor shortages along the way. You get work crews that get hit with COVID and get knocked out,
Yep.
so that puts you back a couple weeks, and actually delayed our opening by about 6 months because of COVID related stuff. So but we got through it, and it was very bizarre last school year opening this brand new state of the art facility with no students and all the teachers on their computers doing distance learning. Some days I'd come to work because I was that person that just came to work every day, and sometimes it was me and 5 other people in this massive building.
Yep.
So it was very bizarre. It was great when we finally got some kids in the spring.
So speaking of virtual teaching and learning, being an ROP program, which is, in my opinion, kind of a hands-on learning experience, are there certain things you can't do? I mean, how do you do lab when you don't have a lab?
If someone could show me where a accredited virtual welding program is,
well, that's my
I'd
point.
love to see it. So
let me show you how to turn this wrench or whatever it is.
Yeah. First of all, I got to give my teachers a shout out because, I remember vividly sitting down with everyone and saying, okay, here's what we got to do. We got to somehow figure out how to transition this into online learning and do the best that we can. And we really focused on just the career readiness skills, and supporting students. And, some of them would do, we had like our baking teacher would have students come down every week and check out a kit of ingredients. And then she'd go home and she was doing videos on YouTube for them. And then they'd have to submit their videos of them baking. And there was lots of that going on with all of our
amazing
programs.
What we've learned.
The innovation was wild. It was, so proud of the work they did. But at the end of the day, no one wants to do that again. Because
been there, done that.
Yeah. It was not the way that kids should be learning that stuff.
That's amazing, because I thought, no, you just taught from a textbook, and we're going to get to that when we get to that. It's just like I know several teachers, and I golf with one that's a PE teacher, and he goes, we're teaching virtual. I go, how do you teach PE virtually? He goes, oh no, we're doing exercises.
Yeah, figuring it out.
I'm going, wow, I guess I never thought of that. Video it, YouTube it, send it to your teacher. Just amazing what we can do when we are stretched to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And the good that came out of that. Yeah. Everyone's much more skilled at using technology, and Zoom's become a good tool that we can use for meetings when we need to, which we'd have never done that before. They'd never been in video meetings or anything like that. But yeah, at the end of the day, it was tough. The kids that learned in that environment did not get nearly the same experience that the kids are getting now. Not even close.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm an insurance agent. You probably know that. And I do group insurance, employee benefits. I've been doing it for 20 years. And I always went out, met with the decision makers, went out and met with the population, the employees, and told them the changes, let them make their elections, push paper. That's what we did. 99% of our business is remote now, electronically, all paperless. And it's so more efficient. It's great, but I still miss the human element of being able to shake a hand and look at a guy in the eyes and understand really what's behind it. And so
it makes a difference. We had some groups come together. We were doing some virtual meetings, and then we've started coming back in person from some groups of mine. And it's just amazing, the flow of a meeting and how much work you can get done, and the connections that you make in that time when you're sitting in a room with someone, as opposed to sitting on a video screen with them. It's just different.
It's so different. It's so different. It's just like not wearing a mask. You can actually see a guy smile.
Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. So
I know, but I talk to people and go, yeah, I can mean mug everybody. They don't even know it. It's like, sometimes you wonder. Brian, let's talk a little bit about the vision of the program. Is there room for another facility? Give me a little forecast. 5-10 years, maybe there's nothing. I don't know. What do you have?
Yeah, so we're, right now we've been in this growth mode where we've added all these programs. And like I said, this is our real first year of having both the centers opened up. And so our next step is to really start to tweak and fine tune what we're doing already and figure out. Our evening programs have been a great place to add new programs. So we didn't have evening programs, 4 years ago. We started them about 3 years ago. And this year we've got 20 different classes that we offer at night between the ROC and the CTEC. And it's opened up a lot of access for kids. And so, those high school students that couldn't fit it into their schedule during the day, or couldn't get in the daytime program because it was impacted, or the adult student who, they work during the day and they want to come take a class with us at night. That's something that we've grown, and that's something we want to continue to grow. We think it's an easy place for us to add a class because, we can find someone who maybe they work in that field during the day. It's a lot more of a commitment for someone to, leave their career and then come during the day and teach a class. Good example that Chevron came to us in the spring and they wanted us to start a program in occupational safety, and and so we can get safety professionals trained. And so we worked over the summer to do that, and we just launched that in the evening program, and it's been great. And so that's something we can run it for a couple years, and if it gets enough traction to warrant, hey, maybe we offer this during the day as well, then we can take that next step there. So I think the next stage is growing out our evening one, continuing to look at what we do during the day, and continuing to monitor the interest too, because at the end of the day, if the interest continues to grow from the community, then we need to look at adding more programs, and whether it's adding new ones or just duplicating some of the things that we're already doing, and we need to find the space to do that, whether that's at the existing centers or maybe looking elsewhere.
So what's the farthest district or school that is commuting to your facilities?
So that we bus is Shafter and Arvin. And so those are the two outlying schools. And we also have Kern Valley up in Lake Isabella. We don't bus students from there, but every year we get one or two kids that their parents commit to it, and they drive them down here, or they figure out.
It's amazing how many people drive the canyon every day.
It is amazing. So that's kind of, I think, next step for us. Another area that we just started growing is our connection with entrepreneurship. And so there's a big entrepreneurial movement going on in our community. An organization named Kite, if you're familiar with that, founded by J.P. Lake and Richard Chapman, to really foster an entrepreneurial-friendly ecosystem. You got companies like Bitwise coming to town. And so people are starting to see this, wanting to turn our community into an entrepreneurial kind of friendly community. And so we're trying to do our part on the K-12 side of things. So we've opened just last year, we have an entrepreneurial resource center at both the ROC and the CTEC campus, run by our program manager, Angel Cottrell. And so that's not a class, but she's put together some programming in the evenings, one night a week kind of course over 10 weeks. So she does an intro course on mindset. And so it's all about learning what it means to think like an entrepreneur, not just for people that want to go start their own businesses, but also people that are just going to be the leaders in their companies and be those entrepreneurs. And then you've got, and then she put together some next level curriculum called Essentials. And so that's for kind of teach you the nuts and bolts about starting a business. And then they do a pitch at the end of that. And then in the spring, actually, we'll have some advanced students go through an advanced level curriculum where they'll get connected to mentors, learn if they have a viable business worth launching. So entrepreneurship's our next big initiative that we're working on. And that's something that we want to continue to grow. And that's the nice thing about that's for 7th to 12th graders. So it's not just those juniors and seniors.
So you're hitting them younger.
And it's been cool to go and see, first of all, these kids that are committed, they're going to school all day and then they're coming. They don't get any credit. There's no high school credit for these. They're coming because they want to be there. They're interested in this, to get these 7th through 12th graders in a room, and it's working. And it's been really cool to see them kind of rally around this topic. And again, it gives me a lot of hope for our community when you get these young people that, okay, we got some people here that are going to do some stuff.
It's fun to work with people that have passion and want to be doing what they do.
Absolutely.
Well, Brian, this is where we get a little personal. I'm going to ask you a couple personal questions, rapid fire. We didn't pre-screen you. Okay. Normally they're listed here, but I noticed they're not. So you have no clue what I'm going to ask you. But it's pretty simple. You'll probably pass with flying colors. What is something about you that nobody knows?
Oh, that nobody knows. Well, a lot of people that know me know this, but you don't know. I was actually born in England, so that's always a random fact that I throw out there. Both my parents were in the Air Force and stationed over in Oxford. So I lived the first 2 years of my life in England. Actually had dual citizenship up until 18, so there's an odd fact for you.
It's kind of funny. You brought back a story. I did a interview with Roshni Patel. She's an HR consultant. She's from England.
Oh.
I met her over coffee, and she says, I don't drink coffee. I don't like coffee. And I'm going, well, that's how I met you, and you didn't tell me. So you just don't know. You don't know.
That's funny.
Hey, if the world was going to end in a year, what would you do differently?
What would I do differently, or what would I do the last year?
Sure.
Okay. Well, I would spend as much time as I can with my family and friends, and that's just what I would do.
Well, I don't blame you a bit. Well, I tell you this, I learned a lot today. I'm going to come by your facility.
Great.
I'm going to tell the employers that I work with, they got to check out this program. And if there's any needs where they need some better applicants or a program that maybe they talk to you about, I'm definitely going to have them reach out. But I do appreciate your service. So today we have Brian Miller. He's the principal of the Regional Occupational Program at Kern High School District, ROC, CTEC. Brian, thank you for your service.
Thank you, Troy. I really appreciate it.
This show has been brought to you by the Law Office of Kyle Jones. Troy Burton with the Lynn Company, CPA John Duffield, Scott Hansen Real Estate Lender, Broker and Investor, and Shannon Eckroth with the Eckroth Sales and Marketing Agency, LLC. You've been listening to the Our 2 Cents podcast. Check out the show notes for links and more information about the show. Also visit our website at our2centspodcast.com or catch us on Instagram at Our 2 Cents Podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe